going to be talking about rabbit accommodation. It's really important to actually get your rabbit accommodation right straight away, because your rabbits could potentially live for 10 to 12 or even more years. So accommodation that they're going to be living in needs to be strong, sturdy, provide them with the suitable space that keeps them happy and healthy, and also that it suits your family's lifestyle as well. So taking the time to choose right accommodation for the rabbits is really important. One of the most common questions that we get asked at Wood Green is why do we need to provide such large accommodation for pet rabbits? Owners can often feel really quite overwhelmed by taking on rabbits for the first time or approaching a rescue centre and then being asked to provide such large accommodation. Now, over the years, there's been lots of studies with other rescues and other specialists who have been able to demonstrate that actually rabbits need that space to stay fit and healthy and to obviously help them to live their full potential in life. When I say about to be fit and healthy, it's to allow them to hop, to jump, to dig, to reach up high and assess if there's any predators, or obviously indeed if there's any friends, and also to be able to reach up high when they're grazing on hedgerows or amongst all the grass and hay as well. In a standard rabbit hutch and a run, a rabbit simply wouldn't be able to do this. They might be able to do 1 to 2 small hops, but there's a good chance they wouldn't actually be able to get up the speed that naturally a rabbit would. So enabling them to have large space allows them to pick up a bit of speed and hopefully get that rabbit binky that we like to see. Now, a binky is when rabbits basically jump high in the air, kick their legs out, and that basically says that they are really happy and content. So as a rabbit owner, you really want to be looking for that binky to show that you've got some nice happy rabbits. So also it can also be quite daunting for owners thinking about budgets and the cost of accommodation. Certainly looking at a large spacious house that most rescues ask for really does look like it's going to cost quite a lot of money, and perhaps whilst it is really important that you are putting in that investment into the rabbit's life, it might not suit everyone instantly. There are many options. Most rescues will be able to offer you local carpenters or companies who do build runs. Most rescues will also support you with coming up with adapting housing that you may have already. So you could adapt your garden sheds, your children's Wendy house. If you've already purchased a small run, you are able to attach tunnels to make them larger and build bigger runs to them. So always just take that time, speak to your local rescue centres, because we would always like to support you in adapting and getting the right accommodation that suits you, the rabbits and your budget, and really enables both you and your rabbits to be happy. So these accommodation here are prime examples of hutches and run setups that we often find customers have either already purchased or perhaps they've been advised about through other sources such as pet stores and things like that. Unfortunately, these types of accommodation often we see a lot of either behavioural or health concerns with rabbits who have been housed in these setups. The other thing with these ones is because they are really processed to obviously produce so many of them, they're really not that well built, and unfortunately most only have a short life expectancy of around between 2 and 4 years before the wood and things starts to fall apart. Whilst it may be cheap to purchase at first, obviously your rabbits hopefully will go on to live to be 10 or 12 years. So that means you're either going to have to be replacing them regularly, in which case that initial amount of money could then go on to have bought this more suitable accommodation. Now, as you'll see with these as well, is unfortunately a lot of these types of hutches are kind of sold as that the bottom part is a run, and then they've got this hutch up here. But again, an average sized rabbit wouldn't be able to actually run. They certainly wouldn't be able to reach up high and really build up that muscle and strength, core strength that they need. And they wouldn't really be able to do binkies or dig or burrow in here as well. Often we find with these is that eventually the floors start to break, and these little latches often, unfortunately, tend to fall off or are very easy for a fox to just knock open. This one here is a really common one and available online and often is really cheap. It often appeals to people because it seems quite cute looking and that perhaps this would be suitable for a pair of rabbits. Unfortunately, again, a rabbit wouldn't be able to build up the speed and be able to dig and run that they should be able to do. Because it's got the run bit underneath, again, they'd be able to crawl under here, but they wouldn't be able to reach up. And also, unfortunately, these types of ramps, they can really struggle sometimes with either falling off or as the ramps start to get old, they can tip off them as well. The area inside, in most cases, they're not much more than 2 to 3 feet, which if the weather is particularly bad and the rabbits don't want to be out exposed, that's a long time to be in this space and shut away. And then lastly, it again really just comes down to the quality. Whilst they seem great at first, most cases when we have these either donated or coming in with the rabbits, they normally are already starting to decay on the bottom. And indeed, this one's actually already had its floor replaced. And often the roof is starting to come apart as well. So they look great to start with, but unfortunately, they do tend to fall apart and they just don't enable the rabbits to provide and show their natural behaviour. What you can consider is if you have already purchased hutches and runs similar to this, but you still really want to adopt a pair of rabbits, but your budget's going to be limited, you can adapt these so that you can adapt a tunnel coming off of the side and then provide them a nice big spacious run. With the hutches like this, you could actually board all of the sides up, giving them a nice big dark area, and it'll also strengthen out that. Replace the floor, and then what you can do is pop one of the runaround tunnels into the side and lead that off into a big run, and that gives it a lot more strength, a nice sheltered dark area that's a lot more winterproof in there for rabbits. The same with this one. This one obviously currently that's kind of the hutchy area and then this is the run, but what you could actually do is board all the sides up and then again place a tunnel on the side to allow the rabbits to move between, so they've got a warmer area which then works out closer to 6 feet and then a nice big run. You would need to board the doors so that you can obviously still get in easily to clean, but they can be adapted. But it is worth considering going for a shed and run to be more cost effective and last the life of a rabbit. If you're not able to purchase or you haven't got a carpenter or a accommodation locally, then you certainly can consider building your own shed or run and hutch for your pet rabbits. Always obviously just take that time to draw out your plans and make sure you get the right materials to start with. First of all, you need to consider your wood type and actually getting nice thick 2x2 wood and treating it in a pet friendly paint so that it lasts long is really important, because thin flimsy wood is going to break in heavy winds, poor weather, and obviously indeed if a predator pushed against it as well. You also need to get your mesh right. Using chicken wire, the round thin stuff, is really not advised because this stuff tends to eventually give way. Predators can easily pull and break it, and actually rabbits can even have a good chew at it as well. So when you're choosing your wire, you want nice, strong welded mesh, ideally around 1 inch in height, but so it's got a nice amount of strength to it. But you'll be able to find lots of suppliers online or locally that will be able to give you suitable wire to work for this. Next up is to consider actually how to make it secure. So you need to think about actually bolts and latches. Having just little tiny swivel latches is not suitable for hutches and runs because again predators can easily turn these, and even actually young children or visitors can accidentally knock them, allowing the rabbits to escape. So what really you want to do for all doors and roofs is actually use some nice strong bolts, which will enable you to securely lock them and keep it a lot more safer during night time or when there's a higher risk of predators. You also want to consider the roof of the run. So you will need a roof because larger predators such as kites, buzzards and foxes, and obviously even dogs, will be able to get into a run if there's not a lid. So providing a nice strong roof, and what you want to do ideally is provide a roof that's got at least 2 to 4 panels on top. That enables a stronger structure, so that if anything does get on the roof, that they're not going to collapse into the run. And what you can then do is add some corrugated plastic on top, just to keep them a little bit more comfortable during poor weather, heavy rain and snow, so that their run isn't getting flooded and damp. So the run next to me is a really great example of lovely rabbit accommodation. This is a large 10 by 5 run that is around 4 to 5 foot in height. So that enables the rabbits to pick up speed, to do those binkies, to reach up and look for hay. It also enables us to put lots of nice enrichment in there. So we've got tunnels, we've got several hidey areas, litter trays filled with fluffy hay for them to browse on, and even a big plastic tub filled with compost, which enables them to do that digging behaviour. If you look at wild rabbits run, they jump and they dig and they live underground. So you want to try and mimic that in the run by adding these tunnels that helps them feel that they're going underground, adding the soil in there to enable them to dig and get those motions out, and also adding lots of little hidey areas, because in the wild rabbits would actually have several areas to bolt to and hide and rest. They wouldn't always retreat to the same one. So offering that option is a really good idea. So the Wendy house here, actually it provides, you can get them in either 4 by 4 or 5 foot by 4 foot. And each of these offer a really nice amount of space attached with the tunnel, and then they have that nice big run joined onto it for that extra space. The real benefit from actually choosing a wooden Wendy house is that you and the family can actually sit in there with the rabbits, so you can do socialising, your health checks, you can provide them with some fresh forage and sit in there. With a hutch you wouldn't be able to do that, you'd have to grab them out or try and open the door without them jumping out. This enables you to have a better relationship with your rabbits, because you can provide them that space and you can interact with them in a far more comfortable and relaxed manner. The other benefit from using wooden Wendy houses is that actually they are often cheaper than buying a hutch, and a lot of people have often got a garden shed or a Wendy house already in their garden. So you can easily convert this by adding the tunnel, and what we've also done there is placed a mesh door on the front of it, so that when it's a hot sunny day we can have the main wooden door open off the shed, but you've got plenty of ventilation going in, but obviously the rabbit's not coming out. But if it's obviously night time or colder weather, we can shut that door and keep it really nice and cosy and dark in there for the rabbits, and they're a lot more safer, rather than obviously having mesh and wind and rain blowing in constantly. One thing to remember with wild rabbits is they choose to go underground to relax and to feel safe, and that is quite dark and enclosed. So actually offering a shed space like this and lots of pods within the run, little dark corners, again enables them to feel much more relaxed and as though they can express their natural behaviour. If you're looking to choose accommodation for your pet rabbits and you would like some more support, then please always contact us at Wood Green. We would be more than happy to help you out with locating suitable suppliers, how to adapt accommodation you've already got, and indeed we sometimes even have second-hand accommodation we might be able to help you out as well. So always contact us and we would be happy to help.